Welcome to the Cryptonomatron. Today I'm doing a review on RightMesh ICO. What is RightMesh? They are a decentralized mobile mesh networking platform using blockchain technology and tokenization. So to find out what a mobile mesh networking platform is, continue to watch the video. So this is an example of a wireless mesh network. Now, the mesh network does not necessarily need to be connected to the internet. It can be used with Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Direct, or Bluetooth, and the devices interact with each other much like the Internet of Things, in that any device that has a Wi-Fi connection or Bluetooth connection can interact with other devices. So to give you a use case scenario for this, you would be at a train station, for example. You want to know the schedule of the trains. You then go onto your mobile internet, check the schedule, and maybe just log off after that once you've got the correct information. Now, what the mesh network will offer is the ability for people to get that information without connecting to the internet. Now, they can be this affects users in developing countries, underdeveloped countries that maybe cannot afford the internet or don't have an internet connection that they're able to access. So they can use this wireless mesh to retrieve the information from another device, another mobile device, another Internet of Things device, and they don't have to be connected to the internet. So this is quite a interesting technology, I'm sure you'll agree, and it also solves problems for people that are perhaps not able to afford internet connections, mobile internet, and in remote places that do not have internet, like underdeveloped countries. In the case of RightMesh, they are very active in Bangladesh. And on the other side of the coin is that many people now in developing countries and underdeveloped countries do indeed have mobile devices. However, without internet access, they don't really fulfill the full potential. So looking through the competition, there are a few centralized systems that are set up to provide mesh networks. One of them I found was this Viniam, I think it's pronounced. So again, mobile Wi-Fi interaction between different IoT devices, including mobiles, autonomous vehicles, etc. Another one was Qualcomm, who are unveiling their mesh networking platform and reference design. Now, there's quite a few more, as well as the companies that are already established and trying to get into this market. There will be other blockchains, other cryptocurrencies that can provide a similar service as to what RightMesh are trying to do. The ones that spring to mind will be Hyundai's HDAC, IOTA, for example. These kind of networks, even Ethereum could potentially be used to forward this technology. So there is quite a broad competition base for this. However, maybe the target markets are slightly different, and we'll look at them in a minute. So most of the competition is already established companies looking to dip their toe into the mesh networking technology and take that step forward. The difference between the established companies and RightMesh, for example, is RightMesh have more of an altruistic view in that they are targeting developing markets rather than already established markets in the West. So this is the competitive landscape diagram from their white paper, and as you can see, RightMesh sits in the software-based mesh networking section along with OpenGarden, Hype Labs, and Bridgify. Obviously companies trying to do the same thing. And then there are software-based but traditional networking solutions that include Bluetooth, ShareIt, AirDrop, Zender, traditional networking hardware-based systems, D-Link, TP-Link, Ericsson, Huawei, Telefonica, Vodafone, etc., all the major companies in there. And then the mesh networking hardware-based solution again, which includes companies like OpenMesh, Radiant, and Gotenna. So problems they want to solve. Number one is the poor internet connections in the underdeveloped world. And as we discussed with the intro section, basically a lot of people don't have access to the internet. Only 35% of people with mobile devices have access to the internet in the developing world and underdeveloped world. So having a mesh network means they can use localized networks that don't require them to be connected to the internet. They can also share the internet with people that are already connected, and so on. So the other thing, the other problem they want to solve is data may only be required at certain times. You don't really need a internet connection all the time. You might just want to check some information, as I mentioned, train timetables, availability of something, and you might only require to log on, get the data, and then log off again. And a mesh network is more suitable for sharing the data amongst a lot of people. You can get the data you require. You don't need to be on the internet for a long time or even at all. And number three, the cost and availability of internet access in underdeveloped countries makes it difficult for people to even afford or use the internet anyway. Number four, there's billions of potential internet users and they are not connected. They just can't get internet connection. They may have a mobile device. Many people do these days. They're becoming more and more affordable for the devices, but the internet access is still very, very limited. Number five is repressive regimes. Now, repressive regimes are not conducive to progress, and they will restrict internet usage. They will restrict what you actually use the internet for. They block websites, they stop your access, and having a mesh network will enable you to basically do what you want with sharing the data with other people, so it gets around censorship. Again, to compound what I was saying there, there's a lack of net neutrality, especially in developing countries, especially in underdeveloped countries. So these technologies will allow people to access what they want, get the information they want and need without interference from ISPs, governments and other authoritarian bodies. And finally, network inefficiency during times of network congestion. So obviously with underdeveloped countries, the internet networks, even if you do get access, are not the best, and they suffer periods of outages and slowing down when the network is congested. So a mesh system will alleviate those problems. So RightMesh aims to connect the next billion users with mobile devices without infrastructure. So a mesh network will basically connect everybody and allow them to access the internet if they desire, information if they desire, through the mesh network and through the sharing ecosystem. So just to go through their mission here very briefly, they believe that a connected world is a better world. They believe that when you give people the ability to connect to the world, to each other, across the street, around the world becomes a more intimate place where anything is possible. So they believe in the rights of the individual, net neutrality, also personal privacy, security, freedom of expression, and freedom of association. They also believe that when you give the person an ability to earn, contribute, own property, and generate value, everybody benefits, the community benefits. So very altruistic beliefs, and that essentially is their mission. And let's see further what their aims are going to be in implementation and use case for their technology. So at the heart of RightMesh, there's the mesh network protocol that allows direct peer-to-peer connections between different devices, and the cryptocurrency protocol behind it that incentivizes people to share mobile devices and resources such as your bandwidth, information, data storage, etc., etc. So you can also develop on the back of this. You can integrate the RightMesh technology into your apps, and that increases the global connectivity, and it facilitates international communication and possibly commerce. So they were inspired, basically, they're working in Bangladesh and they were trying to get on the internet, and they couldn't use Skype. Everybody had to stop doing what they were doing so they could have a simple Skype call. Again, the inefficiencies of internet network and internet access in underdeveloped countries inspired them to try and build an app, develop something where people can actually connect without having to rely on a poor internet connection. So they are focused, as we said, on developing nations, underdeveloped nations, where there is a lack of internet connection, a lack of the infrastructure, and many people, even though they have mobile devices, cannot access the internet. So the use cases, as we can see here, they are numerous. They can be developed for small geographies, small communities, individual needs. And they say here they've got a remote indigenous community region of Labrador in Canada. 300 people. There's only one internet service provider, so connectivity is expensive and painfully slow, and obviously congestion stifles use. And we've all been there at some point in the past. And they really need to have a ability to share data about weather conditions and ice and things that will actually affect them in their daily lives. So their problem was solved by developing an app. RightMesh is enabling the data to be sent around the community directly without having access to the actual internet service provider or the gateway. So another example of a mesh-enabled app, which is currently under development and soon will be available in the Google Play Store, they say, is an emergency communications app, and that will allow people, even when internet connections go down in major disasters, to interact with each other, or when authorities and governments want to censor or shut down internet traffic for whatever reason, such as protests in Venezuela, natural disasters, that type of thing. So there's lots of real-world use cases for this technology. So I found this article from the co-founder and chief technical officer, Rakib Islam, and he says that for 66% of the world, a 500 megabyte data plan costs more than 5% of the monthly income. And connecting everybody to the internet would add 6.7 trillion to the global economy and raise 500 million people out of poverty. So the market for this in underdeveloped countries particularly is very, very large indeed. It could be a solution to those that currently cannot access the internet, cannot get online because of the expense, the difficulty of doing so, and for any other reason. So the market here could be in the billions of dollars. The market is focused on underdeveloped countries, as I mentioned, but may be used worldwide eventually and become more popular in the West and other countries where it's easier to access the internet and people have more money, just out of convenience. So from a pure convenience factor, I can see that this has potential to go further than just their target market of Bangladesh, I think initially, where they're trialing it and they're involved. So it doesn't necessarily just apply to the underdeveloped countries and developing countries that don't have very good internet connections. On the negative side of the market, a lot of places in the developing world and underdeveloped world actually do have very, very good internet. Now, in the West, you take it for granted that you've got the internet connection, but many up-and-coming countries do actually have good networks installed. For example, Cambodia, Mongolia, they both have very good 4G networks. They have had for a long time. So you've got to take that in consideration when you look at the potential growth behind mesh networks and this kind of target market. What I would say is there are further use cases for mesh networks when you consider Internet of Things and interaction between devices. So this is from Wikipedia, but it's written by Dr. Jason Ernst, which he is RightMesh's chief networking scientist. And I'll just read this out to you. A wireless mesh network, or a WMN, is a communications network made up of radio nodes organized in a mesh topology. It is also a form of wireless ad hoc network, a decentralized type of wireless network. The network is ad hoc because it does not rely on a pre-existing infrastructure, such as routers and wired networks or access points in managed wireless networks. Instead, each node participates in routing by forwarding data for other nodes. So the determination of which nodes forward data is made dynamically on the basis of network connectivity and the routing algorithm in use. The coverage area of the radio nodes working as a single network is sometimes called a mesh cloud. Access to this mesh cloud is dependent on the radio nodes working in harmony with each other to create a radio network. A mesh network is reliable and offers redundancy. When one node can no longer operate, the rest of the nodes can still communicate with each other directly or through one or more intermediate nodes. Wireless mesh networks can self-form and self-heal, and wireless mesh networks work with different wireless technologies, including all the wireless technologies there and cellular technologies, and need not be restricted to any one technology or protocol. So that's essentially what it is. It's being built on the blockchain because the blockchain allows for identification of different nodes without using, say, an IP address or any other information like that. So RightMesh uses the Ethereum blockchain, and that allows settling transactions and payments between participants in the mesh network. They have built the platform, they say, in a way that they can change it in the future. So if new blockchains come along that are more efficient, which we know are already in development here, then they can swap over if they deem necessary. So on to the tech section. Now, I did look through the white paper, and also they have a technical paper as well, which is excellent. Please do read them if you're thinking about investing in this ICO. It'll give you more of a grasp on what they're trying to do. But this FAQ section suffices for what I'm trying to do in this video, and that's just briefly describe how they're going to implement this technology. So we've already discussed what the ad hoc mobile mesh is. All the mobile devices will essentially become nodes. Therefore, they can circumvent censorship and self-heal and so on and so forth. And the underpinning technology behind this will obviously be the blockchain. So there are a few interesting points that I'll raise from the FAQ section, the technology section, which we'll look at now. And what makes it different from other mesh networks? Well, it doesn't require any hardware or fixed infrastructure, as we know. So you're only basically using your mobile device. It uses a combination of Wi-Fi Direct and Bluetooth at the moment, and they are going to incorporate more technologies as they come along in other mobile devices. And they are using a direct routing algorithm based on optimal path routing that is resource efficient, as opposed to broadcasting messages to all nodes in the mesh, which is resource intensive. So they've figured out a way to extract maximum efficiency from the network. Also, the other thing they point out, and something that I noticed, was that they have high levels of business and technical experience and expertise, and we'll go through that in the team section. And they're also focused on ethical business implementation and trying to do the right thing. So moving on, they are only going to run on Android devices. They are not going to run on Apple devices. They believe that 87% of the market is on Android, and that iOS is challenging to develop apps on. So they don't use any hardware, as the devices make up the infrastructure, acting as nodes. And the software, the RightMesh is software based, so the range is limited to that of the device. They say that the range will be around 50 meters if using Bluetooth, Wi-Fi Direct and Wi-Fi, and within 10 meters of just using Bluetooth. So the range of your device will be up to 50 meters between two nodes when you're using Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi Direct, and it will be 10 meters within two nodes using just the Bluetooth. So it's quite a short distance given the current Wi-Fi technology. They allow two modes of connectivity. One is connecting nodes directly with each other and is completely offline, and the other is allowing nodes that do have internet connectivity to share with other offline nodes. And general purpose traffic eventually will be shared across the RightMesh network. The SDK is currently in private beta. You can register if you want to apply for the beta, and it's free, it's open source, and the source code is on GitHub. Token usage now, and the tokens will be used to share connectivity. So they will be used to participate in the buying and selling of internet or data access between users on the mesh network. They will be used to share resources. So you will be able to buy and sell storage, processing, and sensor data between users. They will also be used to share content. So you can buy content created by other users or create and sell your own content. And they will be used to share rewards, so you can reward users for disseminating content, advertising, or apps to other users. So these are the ICO details. There will be a total of just under 130 million supply. Payments will be accepted in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Swiss franc, Euro, US dollar, pound sterling, Danish kroner, and Singapore dollar. There will be a hard cap of $30 million. There will be no soft cap. They've already raised $7 million in their crowdfunding so far. 30% of the total tokens, numbering 38,850,000, will be distributed to the public during pre-sale and general crowd sale. And the exchange rate for tokens will be 1 mesh to $1 US. The minimum contribution through Bitcoin Suisse is $1,000 per participant. Sorry. USA and Canadian citizens cannot participate as of this moment. However, you're encouraged to get in touch with them if you're going to contribute more than $50,000 and you are a US or Canadian citizen. You may be eligible to go in through a private pre-sale as a registered investor or accredited investor. Number 9, the pre-sale begins on 15th of February 2018, and general crowd sale date will be confirmed after the pre-sale is complete. There will be a 20% bonus for pre-sale participants. KYC and AML checks are all done through Bitcoin Suisse, and this is mandatory if you're thinking of participating. You have to go to Bitcoin Suisse and register, upload all your KYC documents, have them checked, and they'll get back to you with approval or otherwise. And finally, 10% of tokens will be airdropped to the community after the crowd sale is completed. So here we can see the distribution of tokens and the allocation. 30% will be for the public, crowd sale and pre-sale. So 10% will be allocated to pre-sale and 20% to the general crowd sale afterwards. 30% will be to RightMesh and community. 20% will be to the Left company, which is the umbrella corporation that owns RightMesh, and to the team as well. 10% will be for advisors and crowd sale costs, and 10% will be airdropped to the community after the crowd sale has completed. So they will spend the tokens generated on development. 50% will go to development. In fact, 15% will go to marketing, 10% to legal and communications, 10% to operations, 10% for taxation purposes, and another 5% will be used for miscellaneous costs. In addition to this, unallocated mesh tokens will be returned to the RightMesh treasury, where they will be used to support the growth of the ecosystem. So there's going to be no token burn here. If the hard cap has been reached and there is an excess of tokens within the allocation, the excess tokens will be airdropped again to the community within a calendar year of the RightMesh ICO. So I searched all over the internet, high and low, and it doesn't appear as if they're offering a bounty campaign for this project, which is a bit of a disappointment for people that do them. However, it probably would have been a good thing to offer one to get word out about this ICO. As far as I can see, the community support is lagging a little bit on this ICO, so a bounty campaign probably would have been a good idea. So in Q2 2014, the prototype that started it all was conceived and developed. In Q1 2015, they launched the Yo app. Q2 2016, the Mesh Network Protocol design. And in Q3 2016, they started developing the core of the platform. Q3 2017, they saw the SDK private beta available for budding developers. And next year we will see the, late this year, keep forgetting we're in 2018 now, the token will be active on the testnet. And Q2 this year, we will see the public beta for the developers going live. I think actually you might already be able to log in for the private beta if you apply for it. Q4 2018, we'll see the public release token active on the mainnet. Then Q2 2019, the RM apps and network growth. Q4 2019, multi-device interoperability and general internet. 2020, they will partner with original equipment manufacturers and also collaborate on a decentralized platform. 2021, global growth of RightMesh networks, and then finally, further on in the future, will be decentralized mobile mesh markets. So the roadmap is quite long. It's going to take them up to, I think, maybe 2019 to really start to implement the network. We are currently here at the general crowd sale, so they have achieved quite a lot so far, but still a long way to go. So let's look at the team now. This is the executive team. Dr. Jason Ernst, he is the Chief Technical Officer and also the Chief Networking Scientist. He holds a PhD in the field of mesh networking and heterogeneous wireless networks, as well as an MSc on scheduling techniques for wireless mesh networks. So he's obviously quite familiar with the technology he's going to develop. Dr. David Wang is the Applied Research Engineering Scientist. He has a PhD from University of British Columbia. As we can see here, he has been involved in writing research papers for peer-to-peer networks, wireless social networks, cloud and edge computing, and Internet of Things. So again, he has exceptional knowledge in this space. Sajju Abraham is the Chief Product Officer, so he's a seasoned professional, it says, in the realm of mobile and wireless technologies, and he's worked with organizations such as Movius, NOC, On Mobile, and Telefonica. So he's concentrating on the building of the product. He has a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering, and another postgraduate degree in management from the Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore. Moving down, they have several others. We'll take a look at another couple. John Lyotier, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. He is one of the co-founders and the CEO of RightMesh. He's an entrepreneur and a successful marketer with over 20 years of experience in promoting, launching, designing and jump-starting new businesses and products through innovative marketing concepts. They do have another company that's sort of an overarching company that RightMesh is one of their brands. It's called Left, and I believe John and Chris are the two co-founders of Left. And Chris is the guy that looks after the logistics and practical matters, and he has a background in banking, operations and corporate development. Let's have a look at Melissa. Okay, Melissa is the corporate development manager. She is passionate to empower people to be their best selves in what she has immersed herself in blockchain, cryptocurrency, and mesh technology world. She heads up corporate development, and she has a BBA from SFU and a background in HR. So let's just briefly look at the other 4 people. Rakib Islam is the co-founder and CTO of Left. So he's already been involved with the overarching company of RightMesh. Tracy McDonald, she's the Director of Talent and Culture, so she will be involved, I guess, in recruitment and training, etc., etc. Dana Harvey is the Chief Comms Officer, and she'll be looking after the word of mouth, social media, and building the knowledge about the company. And finally, last but not least, we have Ailsie Killeen, who's an executive strategist. Let's briefly look at her. I don't believe there's anything, no information on Ailsie, unfortunately. That's a shame. They do have an advisory body as well. Daniel Gillis here, Director of PCER. Boris Mann, who's the co-founder of Frontier Foundry Corporation. Les Borsai, who is the co-founder and CEO of Songlily. Jason Butcher, founder of Parallel Payments. Nir Kishteri, who's a professor and author. And then Stefan Jespers, who is Whale Panda on Twitter. He's followed by quite a few thousand people, I believe. And he is a CEO of IM Solutions and cryptocurrency expert. Scott Robinson, founder and VP, of Plug and Play FinTech, member of the board at Plug and Play. And then there's Agnes Budzin, managing director at Consensus, and Nikolai Oster, who's head of the ICO division at Bitcoin Swish. Little spelling mistake noted there. So as far as partners are concerned, there's only 4 listed on the website. Bitcoin Suisse, obviously going to do the Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering for the ICO. They're also going to be accepting payments for the ICO and handling the general logistics of the whole affair. Fasken are a legal company. They're obviously providing the legal advice here. First Coin are an investment bank. They'll be dealing with the banking behind the ICO. And Melrose Public Relations will be building up the community and obviously handling their media. So we'll start off with Left. They're the overarching company that RightMesh is a part of, and they've got a presence on social media, although it's nothing spectacular at all. However, RightMesh themselves have 3,761 followers on Twitter, and they have 2,019 members on their Telegram, although it doesn't seem to be very active at the moment. I asked a question about 30 minutes ago and still no response at all, and other people have been asking questions and there doesn't seem to be any people moderating it, so not a very good sign there. Could do with some moderation there, guys. And they're already active in Medium with their blog, which is several posts as posted by several of the team, including Sadju and Brianna McNeil. Right, now it's time for the verdict. So let's look at the positives first. So the first positive that I noted about RightMesh immediately was they do believe in real important human values. This is a project that's partly altruistic, and their ethical values are at the forefront of driving this company and their product forward. Number 2, the presentation for this ICO is excellent. They have a good white paper. They have a technical paper as well. For those of you that are more technically minded than I, you can go and look at it. It's very thorough. The website is excellent. Their blog is fantastic. So overall, I would give this a 9 out of 10 for presentation. It's quite well done, and there's been a lot of effort put into this. So number 3, the idea is somewhat unique. However, you know, a mesh network is not unique per se. putting it on the blockchain or combining the blockchain technology with the idea of a mesh network is unique, and it certainly is a worthwhile collaboration. The blockchain will essentially allow the mesh network to function and truly decentralize it, which I think is a very worthwhile project, and it could lead to major advances in this kind of technology in the future. Number 4, the tokens have a real use case within the ecosystem. People will be paying for bandwidth, they'll be paying for data storage, etc. So they've got an actual use case. They're not just tacked onto an idea. They do actually serve a purpose. Number 5, another positive, they have been working on this platform since 2014 when it was conceived. So the idea just isn't conjured up to raise money in an ICO for the company. This is actually something that they've dedicated their company and employees to developing since 2014. So number 6 positive is they do have a working product in beta. If you're a developer, you can go and sign up for the private beta SDK. In number 7, for the token sale itself, they have quite a low total supply. It's just under 130 million tokens, I believe, and that's good. We like to see low supplies, as it will mean the value of each token can rise a little bit from the ICO price. If the supply is too high, then maybe the token price won't reach its true value. So number 8, one of the first companies to realize the usefulness of blockchain in a mesh network. As I said before, it's quite a unique idea, and other companies will be pursuing this, no doubt, but these are one of the first. They've got a few experts on the team that already know mesh technology quite intimately, so this is definitely a positive. Number 9, they already have an existing company with over 100 employees. They're already working, they're already able to develop part of their network. They are beta testing at the moment, so they're not a fly-by-night. They are there, they're legitimate, and that counts a lot these days in ICOs. And number 10, the team members have experience and knowledge of mesh systems. As I said before in the team section, they have degrees in the respective fields, and they have an intimate knowledge of how these systems work, which will obviously help towards implementation. But as ever, there are negatives, and here they are for you. There is no token burn. Now, with a supply of just under 130 million, that doesn't appear to be very important. I would suggest that the tokens will probably sell out at ICO here. So I don't think a token burn will be required at all, but they're not going to have one anyway. The tokens will go back into circulation and be used later on. Token burns help with the value of the token. They help to increase the value of the token. If there's less supply, the token will be more valuable. Number 2, it is quite a high token price at the ICO. One mesh will equal $1. Now, yes, you could argue the total supply is quite low, so it still represents a little bit of value for money, but I like very, very low token prices. Anything, the sweet spot for me is between 1 and 10 cents, even lower is even better, and high token prices to me are not that attractive. They have, there's less chance of you making massive gains with high token prices. It's a lot easier to go from sub 1 cent price to 10 cents or greater than it is from $1 to $10, for example. The other thing that I noticed was a negative is they may do a token split in future. So they're actually going to, if they require the utility of the token to increase, if it's required on the ecosystem, then they may split the tokens into 2, which could potentially devalue the token price. So you could be holding tokens that were worth X amount of dollars one day, and then next day they might lose a little bit of that value due to a token split. So it's something just to be aware of, and in my opinion, it is a negative for any potential investor in this project. Number 4, the market may not be as big as some might think. while they have outlined their ideas for Bangladesh, as I mentioned earlier in the market section, there are underdeveloped countries that have fantastic internet access already. They're, you know, even better than countries in the West. I know it sounds funny. You're sitting at home and you know, in your parents' bedroom or your basement in the US or Australia or wherever on your internet, and somebody in Mongolia in a yurt with a goat outside actually will maybe have a bigger bandwidth than you have. I know it's hard to believe that, but that is the case. And also, internet isn't that expensive in the underdeveloped or developing world as is thought by Westerners. You know, I've lived in Asia for a long time now. I travel to some very poor countries. I have been around the world. I've been to Africa. I've been just recently to Cambodia, and accessing the internet isn't really that big of a problem for most people nowadays. So again, the market for this mesh networking might not be as big or as you know, as fundamentally important as some might think. Number 5, it's going to be difficult to ensure adoption of the mesh network technologies in developing economies. Now, what I mean by this is the people will be reluctant to adopt new technologies. They always are. They're already using the internet, as I mentioned before, and most of them are. It's difficult to get people in developing economies to adopt new tech, and especially things like this that they don't quite understand, things that maybe circumvent government rules or ISPs. You know, they are not looked on favorably by the authorities in these types of countries, and people may even be scared to use them. So other negatives include they will have competition in future from companies using more advanced blockchain technology. As we mentioned before, RightMesh are using the Ethereum blockchain, which is limited, as we know, with scalability issues and other areas. So if somebody comes along in future and builds a mesh network on more advanced blockchain technology, then they may usurp RightMesh as the market leader. RightMesh have already stated they're going to, you know, move network or move blockchain if they deem necessary, but they may have been better off starting with a better technology, although they've been doing this for years, so obviously they're kind of stuck with what they got, and they might even be locked in to using the Ethereum blockchain for this, which might be a thing you might want to consider when investing. Number 7, there's a high minimum contribution amount of $1,000. Now that's not really you know, conducive to getting people to invest in this ICO. I would have much preferred if it was something like 0.1 Ether that was the minimum. I think $1,000 maybe just too high for most people. Number 8, there's no bounty campaign. It would have been easy to set one up. They could have got their media company to do it. You really need bounty campaigns to get people interested and do translations and get advertised all over the internet. Of course, I might be wrong. If there is a bounty campaign, let me know in the comments below, guys. And the other thing that I noticed was a negative is community support could be a lot better for this project. There isn't really that much support on Telegram. As I just mentioned, I was waiting you know, at least 30 minutes for an answer. I still haven't got one, I don't believe, to my question. So, you know, we really need more support on the community to make this project a success. So now to my verdict. What do I believe and what do I think about RightMesh ICO? Well, what's right is RightMesh. It is a very altruistic project. It is a unique and good project, I believe. However, it does have some flaws in the way it's been marketed and the way it's been conducted. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars out of 5. It's not an all-star ICO, unfortunately, but it is something that you should really think about having a look at closely. Am I going to invest? Not at the moment. I haven't made any decisions yet. I will take a look at it closer to the time and make a decision nearer the time. If the token price was lower, this ICO would have scored a lot higher, obviously. The hard cap isn't too high, isn't too low. There's no soft cap, so they will probably sell out. The tokens probably will rise in value. There's no doubt of that. But as far as profits are concerned, what do I see in this ICO? Can it be, can it be a 10x? Can it be a 100x? I don't think it's a 100x. It could certainly 10x, maybe more. However, as ever, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. If you are thinking of investing, please do your own due diligence, do your own research, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Invest wisely and invest cautiously, guys, yeah? As I always say. So go and have a look at RightMesh. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, please click like and subscribe. It always helps the channel grow. Let's get more people into the channel. And I'm on Twitter as well. If you want to follow me, just search for Cryptonomatron, or the link is in the description as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another ICO review or another token to watch. I haven't decided yet. Thanks for watching.